Diplomacy Collapsed Part 1. The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly stretched higher than most species could see. Thousands of delegates from hundreds of worlds filled the curved seats. Their voices echoed off walls made of crystal and metal. Today was different from other days. Today, the galaxy would make a choice that would change everything. Ambassador Chen stood in the human section. She wore a simple black suit. Her face showed no emotion. Around her, the other human delegates sat quietly. They had known this day might come. For 200 years, humanity had played nice with the galaxy. They had followed the rules. They had shared their technology carefully. They had made friends and trade partners, but the galaxy had always feared them. The Vraxian Chancellor rose from his seat. His species looked like large insects with too many legs. His voice boomed through the speakers. Every species in the hall could understand him through their translators. Today we address the human problem, he said. For 2 centuries we have watched them grow. They spread faster than any species we have ever seen. They build weapons we do not understand. They think in ways that frighten us. Ambassador Chen did not move. She had heard these words before. In private meetings. In whispered conversations. The galaxy had always been afraid of humanity. They were afraid of how fast humans learned. They were afraid of how humans never gave up. They were afraid of what humans might become. The Chancellor continued. His words were rehearsed. The Council of Seven had planned this moment carefully. We propose that humanity surrender all military vessels, all weapons, all defensive stations. You will accept observers on every human world. You will submit to our guidance. This is for the good of the galaxy. This is for peace. The hall exploded with noise. Some species cheered. Others looked worried. A few delegates stood and walked out. They were from smaller worlds. Worlds that remembered when the Council had made similar demands of them. Ambassador Chen waited for silence. When it came, she rose slowly. All eyes turned to her. The human section was calm, too calm. That should have been a warning. You are making a mistake, Chen said quietly. Her voice was steady. You do not understand what you are doing, the Chancellor laughed. It was a clicking sound that made several species uncomfortable. The other 6 members of the Council smiled. They had prepared for this. They had gathered their fleets. They had made their plans. We understand perfectly, the Chancellor said. You are dangerous. Your species is too aggressive. You must be controlled before you threaten us all. Chen looked around the hall. She looked at the species she had worked with for years. The ones she had helped. The ones humanity had saved during the plague wars. The ones who had eaten at her table and called humans friends. Most of them would not meet her eyes. You think you know us, Chen said. You have studied our history. You have read about our wars. You think you understand what humanity is capable of, but you have only seen what we chose to show you. She paused. The hall was silent now. Something in her voice made even the boldest delegates nervous. For 200 years we have been good neighbors. We have been patient. We have been kind. We did this because we wanted to be part of something bigger. We wanted to prove that humanity could change. That we could be better than our past. Chen walked toward the center of the hall. Her footsteps echoed. Every human delegate stood up. They moved as one. It was not threatening. It was just precise. Too precise. You have chosen to treat our mercy as weakness, Chen continued. You have chosen to mistake our patience for fear. You have chosen to force our hand. The Chancellor stood again. He was angry now. The Council was not used to being spoken to this way. Are you threatening this Council? He demanded. Chen stopped. She looked directly at him. Her eyes were cold. No, she said. I am warning you. There is a difference. Humanity has been playing by your rules because we chose to, not because we had to. You are about to learn what happens when we stop playing. The vote was called. It was quick. The Council had the numbers. 87 species voted yes. Only 12 voted no. Those 12 were mostly younger species. Ones that humanity had helped the most, ones that remembered their debts. Ambassador Chen watched the vote counter. When it finished, she nodded once. She touched a device on her wrist. Every human in the hall did the same. Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Assembly, Chen announced. All trade agreements are void. All military cooperation is ended. All embassies will close. All human citizens will return home within 48 hours. The Chancellor laughed again. Several council members joined him. You will regret this decision, one of them called out. Chen turned to leave. The other humans followed. At the door, she stopped. She looked back one last time. No, she said quietly. You will. The humans left. The Great Hall erupted in celebration. The Council had won. They had put humanity in its place. They had shown who truly ruled the galaxy, but a few delegates did not celebrate. The elder species, the ones who had studied human history more carefully, the ones who understood what humanity had done to itself before it reached the stars. They sat quietly in their seats. They watched the Council celebrate, and they were afraid. Within hours, every human ship left Council space. Hundreds of vessels, thousands. They moved together in perfect formation. They jumped into the dark between stars. And they were gone. Every human station went dark. The jump gates that humans had built, the trade stations that humans had operated, the listening posts that humans had maintained, all of them shut down at the same moment. Their defenses activated, warning messages broadcast on all frequencies. Stay away. On Earth, the High Command received Ambassador Chen's report. They had been preparing for this day. They had hoped it would never come. But they had prepared anyway. The order went out to every human world. Every colony. Every ship. Every station. It was time. The galaxy wanted to see what humanity was truly capable of. They were about to find out. Diplomacy collapsed Part 2. 3 months had passed since the humans left. The Galactic Council sat in emergency session for the 5th time that week. Things were falling apart. Trade routes that had worked for decades were breaking down. Ships were getting lost. Cargo was not arriving. The jump gates were malfunctioning. No one knew why. The gates had always worked perfectly before. Then someone noticed something. All the failing infrastructure had one thing in common. Humans had built it, or humans had helped maintain it, or humans had provided the technology. Chancellor Vrax stood before the council. He looked tired. 3 months ago, he had been celebrating. Now he was trying to explain why half the galaxy's shipping lanes were dark. We are working to solve these issues, he said. Our best engineers are studying the human technology. We will have everything running soon. But everyone in the hall knew the truth. They could not fix it. They did not understand how any of it worked. The humans had built things that looked simple on the outside. But inside, they were impossibly complex. Every time the engineers thought they understood something, they found another layer. Another puzzle. Another trap. Delegate Kresh from the Terillian Union stood up. Her species were traders. They had made billions using human-operated trade stations. Now those stations were locked down tight. My ships cannot reach the outer colonies, she said. The stations refuse our docking requests. We have tried everything. Codes, overrides, nothing works. The humans locked us out. More delegates spoke up. Everyone had the same problem. Human technology was everywhere. It was woven into the fabric of galactic civilization, and now it was all shutting down. Or worse, it was actively keeping them out. The Council had sent ships to investigate human stations. Small fleets, just to look, just to understand. Those ships never came back. No distress calls. No wreckage. They just vanished. Chancellor Vrax made a decision. He would send a larger fleet. A reconnaissance force that could not simply disappear. 500 ships, scouts, cruisers, even a few carriers. They would go to the nearest human border station. They would find out what happened to the missing ships. The fleet commander was Admiral Tresh. He was old. He had fought in the plague wars alongside human ships. He knew humans better than most. That was why he did not want this mission. This is a mistake, he told the Chancellor privately. You do not understand what you are poking. But orders were orders. The fleet launched. Back on Earth, the High Command watched. They had sensors the Council did not know about. They could see every ship in Council space. They had been watching for 3 months. Waiting. Admiral West stood in the command center. He was a big man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been in the military for 40 years. He had helped design the contingency plans. Plans he hoped would never be used. They are sending a reconnaissance fleet, his second-in-command reported. 500 ships. Heading for Station 7. West nodded slowly. He looked at the tactical display. It showed the Council fleet. It showed human ships that the Council could not see. It showed weapons the Council did not know existed. Send the message, West said. Tell them what we have been preparing. Across human space, a signal went out. It was encrypted with codes the Council could never break. It was broadcast on frequencies the Council did not know about. Every human ship, every human station, every human colony received it. The message was simple. Stand by. The Council fleet arrived at the border system. Admiral Tresh studied his sensors. The system looked empty. No human ships. No defense platforms. No weapons, nothing. That made him more nervous than if he had seen 1,000 battleships. Something is wrong, he said to his bridge crew. This is too easy. His sensor officer was young, fresh from the academy. He was not afraid. He thought the old admiral was being paranoid. Scanners show no threats, the officer reported. The system is clear. Admiral Tresh wanted to turn around. Every instinct told him to retreat. But he had his orders. The Council wanted answers. He would give them answers. All ships move forward, he ordered. Stay in formation. Weapons ready. The fleet moved into the system. 500 ships in perfect formation. They were impressive. The Vraxian Empire was proud of this fleet. It represented decades of military development, centuries of tradition. They were halfway to the human station when it happened. Every ship in the fleet lost power at the same moment, not slowly, not gradually. 1 second, 500 warships were at full power. The next second, they were dead in space. No engines, no weapons, no shields. Even life support was flickering. Admiral Tresh grabbed his command chair as the artificial gravity failed. He floated for a moment before emergency systems kicked in. The lights came back on, dim, red, emergency power only. Report, he shouted. His crew scrambled to check systems. Nothing worked. Computers were rebooting. Weapons were offline. Communications were down except for short-range emergency channels. Unknown attack, his tactical officer reported. All ships affected. We are receiving distress signals from the entire fleet. Then the human ship appeared. It did not jump in. It did not decloak. It was simply there, as if it had been there all along, waiting. The ship was massive. Twice the size of Admiral Tresh's flagship. It was black. Not painted black. It seemed to absorb light, and it was beautiful in a terrible way. Perfect lines. Perfect angles. It looked like something built by a species that had mastered war and then refined it into an art form. A communication came through. Audio only. Emergency frequencies. The voice was calm. Female. Human. Vraxian Fleet, this is Captain Sarah Okonkwo of the United Earth ship Inevitable. You are trespassing in human space. Your weapon systems have been disabled. Your ships are no longer a threat. Admiral Tresh felt his blood run cold. The voice was not threatening. It was matter of fact, like a teacher explaining a simple concept. This is Admiral Tresh of the Vraxian Empire, he responded. We are here under orders from the Galactic Council. We demand you restore our ships and withdraw. There was a pause. Then the human captain spoke again. There was something in her voice now. Not anger. Something colder. Admiral, you were warned. Your council chose this path. What happens next is on them. We are going to give you a demonstration. Watch carefully. Tell your leaders what you see. The black ship moved. It was impossibly fast. One moment it was 1,000,000 kilometers away. The next moment it was right in front of Admiral Tresh's flagship. No ship could move that fast. The laws of physics did not allow it, but humans had apparently stopped caring about laws. The demonstration had begun. And the galaxy was about to learn that humanity had been holding back for 200 years. Not because they had to, because they wanted to. Diplomacy collapsed Part 3. Admiral Tresh floated in zero gravity on his bridge. The emergency lights cast red shadows across his crew's faces. They all stared at the human ship. The Inevitable hung in space like a dark monument to everything the galaxy had forgotten about humanity. Captain Okonkwo's voice came through the speakers again. She sounded almost sad. For 2 centuries we worked with you. We shared meals. We shared stories. We built things together. We thought we were building trust. But you always saw us as a threat, as something to be controlled. Admiral Tresh tried to access his weapons. Nothing. The systems were completely locked out. Not damaged, not broken, locked. The humans had control. How did you do this? He asked. How did you disable 500 ships at once? We have been inside your networks for decades, Okonkwo replied. Every ship you bought that used human components. Every computer system we helped you build. Every software update we provided. We left ourselves doors. just in case we ever needed them. The bridge crew looked at each other in horror. The Vraxian Empire had modernized its entire fleet 15 years ago, with human help. They had thought humans were being generous. They had thought humans were being friends. They had been wrong. You have been planning this, Tresh said slowly.
For how long?
Since first contact, Okonkwo said. We learned something from our own history. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. We hoped you would accept us. We prepared for the day you would fear us. The black ship moved again. This time it moved slowly, deliberately. It circled the Vraxian flagship like a predator examining prey. We are going to demonstrate our capabilities, Okonkwo announced. Not to destroy you. We could have done that already. But to show you, to show your council, to show the galaxy what they have unleashed. A new ship appeared on sensors. Then another. Then 10 more. Then 100. Human ships decloaked all around the Vraxian fleet. They had been there the entire time, invisible, waiting. Admiral Tresh had never seen ships like these. They were all different sizes, different designs. Some looked like standard warships. Others looked like nothing he could identify, and every single one of them had weapon systems that his computer could not classify. Your sensors are probably very confused right now, Okonkwo said. There was a hint of dark humor in her voice. Let me help. What you are looking at are fourth-generation human warships. We have been building them in secret for 70 years. The ships we showed you, the ones you thought were our best. Those were second generation. We kept them visible so you would think you knew what we could do. One of the human ships fired, not at the Vraxian fleet, at a small asteroid 3 million kilometers away. The weapon was invisible. There was no beam, no missile, no projectile. The asteroid simply exploded. Quantum entanglement weapons. Okonkwo explained that they could hit any target they could see. Instantly, no travel time. No way to dodge. No warning. The galaxy's rules said they could not develop this technology, so they did it quietly. Another human ship demonstrated its shields. The Vraxians watched as the inevitable fired what looked like a standard plasma weapon at its ally. The shot should have destroyed the target ship. Instead, the energy simply vanished. Absorbed, redirected. The target ship glowed for a moment. Then it fired the same energy back. At nothing, into empty space. A demonstration adaptive defense systems, Okonkwo continued. Any energy weapon fired at us makes us stronger. Kinetic weapons are converted to energy and stored. We can fight forever. You cannot. Admiral Tresh felt something break inside him. The Vraxian Empire was considered the most militarily advanced species in the Council. They had the biggest fleet, the best weapons, the most experience, and humanity had been playing with them like children. We could destroy your entire fleet right now, Okonkwo said, without losing a single ship, without even trying very hard. But we will not. Do you know why? Tresh did not answer. He could not speak. Because we are still trying to be better than our history. We still believe in mercy. Even when mercy is mistaken for weakness, we are going to let you go home. All of you. Every ship, every crew member unharmed. Hope flickered in Tresh's chest. Maybe this would end peacefully. Maybe the humans would accept an apology. Then Okonkwo finished her sentence. But you need to deliver a message to your council. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them what we can do. Tell them that this was just one ship. One demonstration. Tell them that we have been building for 200 years while they thought they knew us. Tell them we have ships they have not seen. Weapons they cannot imagine. Technology they cannot understand. The Vraxian ships began to power up. Not all systems. Just enough. Engines came online. Life support stabilized. But weapons stayed offline. Navigation systems only worked on one setting. Back toward Council space. You are leaving now, Okonkwo said. Your ships will work just well enough to get you home. Your weapons will stay offline for 72 hours, just to make sure you do not do anything stupid on the way back. Admiral Tresh watched as his fleet began to move. He was not giving the orders. The humans were. They were flying his ships, sending them home like children sent to their rooms. And Admiral Tresh, Okonkwo added. Her voice became softer. I am sorry it came to this. You fought beside us in the Plague Wars. You were always honorable. Tell your Chancellor that we remember our friends. Tell him that the 12 species who voted against the sanctions will not be touched, but the 87 who voted yes. They need to understand what they have done. The communication cut off. The human ships vanished. One moment they were there. The next moment, the sensors showed empty space. Only the inevitable remained visible. Watching. Making sure the Vraxian fleet actually left. Admiral Tresh sat in his command chair. His hands were shaking. He had fought in 6 wars. He had seen death. He had seen destruction. But he had never felt fear like this. Not fear of dying. Fear of what humanity had become. Or perhaps fear of what humanity had always been. His communication officer got the long-range systems working. Barely. They could send a message back to the council. Tresh composed his report. He described everything he had seen. Every weapon. Every ship. Every word Captain Okonkwo had said. He ended the report with a single line. A warning he knew the council would not listen to. We have made a terrible mistake, and I do not think humanity will give us another chance to fix it. The message was sent. The fleet limped home. And behind them, human ships began to move, not toward Vraxian space, toward every single council species. At the same time, in perfect coordination, humanity had been patient for 200 years. That patience had ended. Now came the reckoning. Diplomacy collapsed. Part 4. The council met in chaos. Delegates were screaming at each other. Some were demanding action. Others were calling for peace talks. A few had already left. Their species had voted against the sanctions. They knew what was coming. Admiral Tresh's report had arrived 2 hours ago. Since then, panic had spread through council space like fire. Every major government was receiving the same news. Human ships had appeared at their borders. Not attacking, just watching. Waiting. Chancellor Vrax stood at his podium. He looked old now, tired. 3 months ago he had been proud. Now he was trying to save his empire from a nightmare of his own making. The humans sent a message. It was broadcast on every frequency, every channel. Every screen in council space showed the same image. Admiral Marcus West, commander of Earth Defense Forces. He sat in a simple chair in what looked like an ordinary office. But everyone in the galaxy knew who he was now. Admiral West looked directly at the camera. His face was hard. His eyes were cold. He looked like a man who had made terrible decisions and accepted their weight. The message began. People of the Galactic Council. Your leaders decided that humanity needed to be controlled. They decided we were too dangerous to be free. They were right to fear us. But they were wrong about why. We are not dangerous because we are violent. We are dangerous because we learn. We adapt. We never give up. For 200 years we learned everything about you. Your languages, your cultures, your technologies, your secrets. West paused. He let that sink in. While you thought you were helping us modernize, we were studying you. Every computer system you let us near. Every ship you asked us to repair. Every trade network you invited us to join. We left ourselves access. Not to spy, not to attack, but to protect ourselves if this day ever came. Behind West, a hologram appeared. It showed the galaxy. Red dots marked council species. Blue dots marked human positions. There were so many blue dots. Thousands of them. In systems the council did not know humans had reached. Around stations the council did not know humans had built. Near colonies the council did not know existed. Your intelligence services reported that humanity had 300 colonies and maybe 5,000 warships. We let you believe that. The truth is we have over 3,000 colonies. We have population centers you never discovered. We have shipyards in dark space that have been building for a century. And we have more than 50,000 warships, most of which use technology you cannot match. The hologram zoomed in. It showed council homeworlds. Each one had human ships in orbit. The ships were not firing, not moving, just there, watching, making a point. As of right now, every council military fleet is under our control, not destroyed, controlled. We can shut them down whenever we want. We have proven this with the Vraxian fleet. We can do it to everyone, all at once, with a single command. West leaned forward. His voice became harder. Your civilian infrastructure is also compromised. Jump gates, communication networks, power grids, food distribution, water treatment. All of it runs on systems that humans helped build or maintain. All of it has our access codes built in. We could shut down your civilizations without firing a shot. In the council hall, several delegates fainted. Others started crying. The scope of what West was describing was beyond anything they had imagined. Humanity had not just been preparing for war. They had been preparing for total control. West continued. His voice softened slightly, but the steel remained. We are not telling you this to threaten you. We are telling you this so you understand your position. You wanted to know what humanity was capable of. Now you know. The question is what happens next. The hologram changed again. It showed files, records, communications, evidence. So much evidence. We have been watching your council meetings, not just the public ones, the private ones, the secret ones. We know about your plans. We know that. Some of you wanted to dismantle human civilization and take our resources. We know about the proposed invasion fleet. We know which species voted for our extinction. Chancellor Vrax felt his blood turn to ice. Those meetings had been classified. Maximum security. Human-free zones. But somehow, humanity had been there. Listening. Recording. Knowing. West stood up. He walked closer to the camera. When he spoke again, his voice carried across the galaxy. Here are our terms, non-negotiable. First, the Galactic Council is dissolved, effective immediately. It has failed its purpose. It has become a tool for the powerful to control the weak. That ends today. Second, a new galactic government will be formed, one where every species has an equal vote. No Council of Seven, no dominant powers, true democracy, true equality. Third, the species that voted against human sanctions will be our partners in building this new order. They stood by us. We will stand by them. They will receive human technology, human protection, human friendship. Fourth, the species that voted for sanctions will submit to reform. Your military capability will be reduced. Your governments will be audited for corruption. You will pay reparations for the damage you intended to cause. West paused. He let the galaxy absorb his words. You have 72 hours to comply. After that, we will begin enforcing these terms ourselves. We prefer cooperation, but we are prepared for resistance. Remember what you saw when Admiral Tresh met the inevitable. That was mercy. That was restraint. If you force us to act again, we will not be so gentle. The transmission ended. The galaxy sat in stunned silence. In the council hall, Chancellor Vrax looked around at his fellow leaders. They all looked broken, defeated. They had pushed humanity into a corner. Humanity had not just escaped. They had taken over. But the Vraxian Empire was proud. Too proud. The Chancellor made a decision. A terrible decision. A desperate decision. If they could not defeat humanity, they would hurt them. Make them pay. Force them to show their true colors. Deep in Vraxian space, a weapon was activated. A weapon that had been banned by every species for good reason. A weapon that could destroy planets. The Vraxian Empire had built it in secret decades ago, just in case. The target was obvious. Earth, the human homeworld. If they destroyed Earth, maybe humanity would crumble. Maybe the other colonies would surrender. Maybe the Vraxians could still win. The planet killer launched. It moved through space toward the Sol system, toward Earth, toward 8 billion human civilians, and humanity watched it come. Diplomacy collapsed. Part 5. The planet killer moved through space at near light speed. It was massive, powerful, unstoppable by any conventional means. The Vraxian Empire had spent 50 years building it. They had kept it hidden, waiting for the day they might need it. That day had come. Earth Defense Command tracked the weapon from the moment it launched. Alarms rang across the Sol system, but there was no panic. No evacuation orders. No desperate defense preparations. Admiral West stood in the command center. He watched the tracking display. The planet killer would reach Earth in 6 hours. His staff waited for orders, but West was calm, almost peaceful. He had been expecting this. One of his officers spoke. Her voice was steady but concerned. She was new to the command. She did not know all of humanity's secrets yet. "Admiral, should we evacuate the cities? We have time to get people to the underground shelters." West shook his head. He pulled up another display. This one showed the moon, Earth's natural satellite. Beautiful, peaceful. Humanity had lived there for over 200 years. Cities covered its surface. Millions of people called it home. Except the moon was not just a colony. It was something else. Something the galaxy had never suspected. "Initiate Lunar Defense Protocol," West said quietly. "Full reveal. Let them see what they almost destroyed." The officer's eyes went wide. She had heard rumors, stories, legends about what the moon really was. Now she would see if they were true. Across the galaxy, every species with sensors pointed at Sol system saw something impossible. The moon was opening, not cracking, not breaking, opening, like a flower, like a machine. Sections of the lunar surface pulled apart on massive hinges. Beneath the rock and regolith metal gleamed. Structures larger than cities rose from hidden bays. Weapons that made the planet killer look like a toy activated and swiveled toward the incoming threat. The moon was not a moon. It had never been just a moon. For 200 years, humanity had been hollowing it out, building inside it, turning it into the greatest fortress ever constructed. The planet killer was still 1 light-year from Earth when it met the first defensive barrier. Invisible fields of energy that wrapped around it, slowed it, analyzed it. Humanity had 6,000 quantum sensors tracking every atom of the weapon. They knew exactly how it worked. They knew exactly how to stop it. The weapon never reached the Sol system. It was intercepted, disabled, captured, all without humanity firing a single shot in anger. The moon's defensive field simply turned the planet killer's own power against it. The weapon stopped moving. Dead in space. Human ships surrounded it, not to destroy it, to study it, to learn from it, and then to send it somewhere else. Admiral West sent a message to the Vraxian homeworld. It was short, direct. "You tried to destroy our home. We stopped you. Now watch what we do with your weapon." The planet killer was redirected. Human ships towed it through space, not to Earth, to Vraxia Prime, the Vraxian homeworld. Panic erupted across Vraxian space. Their own weapon was coming home. The Chancellor tried to activate defense systems. Nothing worked. Humanity had shut them all down. The Vraxians could only watch as the planet killer entered orbit around their world. But it did not fire. It just stayed there, hovering, a reminder, a warning, a symbol of what humanity could do but chose not to. Former Ambassador Chen sent a message to Chancellor Vrax. She was back on Earth now. Back in her apartment overlooking the ocean, she looked tired but satisfied. "Chancellor, you tried to kill 8 billion civilians. We could do the same to you. But we will not. Do you know why? Because we are not like you. We do not believe in revenge. We believe in justice. Your weapon will remain in orbit, not armed, not active. Just there, so every Vraxian can look up and remember what could have happened, so they can remember that humanity showed mercy even when you showed none." The 72 hours passed. Most species accepted the terms. They had no choice. They had seen what humanity could do. They had seen the moon open. They had seen the planet killer stopped and redirected. They knew resistance was pointless. The Galactic Council was dissolved. The new Galactic Assembly formed. Every species had equal representation. No more Council of 7, no more dominant powers. Just democracy, real democracy. The 12 species who voted against sanctions became humanity's closest allies. They received advanced technology, protection, partnership, trade deals that made them prosperous. Humanity rewarded loyalty. The 87 species who voted for sanctions submitted to reform. Their militaries were reduced. Their governments were audited. Corruption was exposed and punished. It was humiliating, but it was also necessary. The old order had been broken. Something better needed to take its place. Years passed. The galaxy adjusted to the new reality. Trade flourished. Technology advanced. Wars became rare. The species who had feared humanity learned something unexpected. Humans were better at peace than they had ever been at war. They shared technology freely with allies. They helped build infrastructure. They mediated disputes. They protected smaller species from exploitation. They did everything the old council had promised to do, but never did. 10 years after the collapse of diplomacy, the Vraxian Empire asked for a meeting. Chancellor Vrax was old now, dying, but he wanted to make peace before the end. Ambassador Chen met him on a neutral station. She was older too, gray hair, lines on her face, but her eyes were still sharp. Vrax bowed to her. It was a gesture of submission in his culture, a recognition of defeat. "I was wrong about your species," he said. His voice was weak but sincere. "We thought mercy was weakness. We thought patience was fear. We were fools," Chen nodded. She felt no satisfaction from his admission, just sadness for what could have been avoided. "You were not the first to make that mistake," she said. "And you will not be the last. Humans make it too. Every day. Every generation. The difference is we learn from it." Vrax straightened as much as his old body allowed. He looked at Chen with respect, almost affection. "What will you do now? Now that you control the galaxy, will you become what you feared to be?" Chen smiled sadly. It was a question humanity asked itself every day. We do not control the galaxy. We protect it. There is a difference. We will continue to do what we have always done. Help those who need help. Defend those who cannot defend themselves. Build instead of destroy. And hope that someday the galaxy will not need us anymore. That is the goal. Not empire, not domination. Just a galaxy where every species can thrive without fear. Vrax laughed. It was a sad sound. The laugh of someone who understood too late. "You spent 200 years learning to play nice. We made you remember how to be apex predators. And instead of destroying us, you are trying to save us. Humans are either the galaxy's greatest fools or its greatest hope." Chen stood up. She extended her hand. Vrax looked at it for a moment. Then he took it. Human and Vraxian, former enemies. Now something like friends, maybe we are both, Chen said. But we are trying. Every day. We are trying. Vrax left. He died 3 months later. But before he died, he gave a final speech to his people. He told them to work with humanity, to learn from them, to become partners instead of rivals. The Vraxian Empire did, slowly, painfully, but they did, and they became one of humanity's strongest allies. United by mutual respect, united by understanding what it meant to be humbled and then helped back up. Ambassador Chen retired 20 years after diplomacy collapsed. She wrote a book about her experiences. The final chapter was titled Lessons Learned. She wrote about how the galaxy had feared what humanity might become, how that fear almost destroyed everything, how humanity had responded not with vengeance but with justice, not with cruelty but with mercy. The final paragraph of her book became famous. It was taught in schools across the galaxy, quoted by leaders, remembered by history. They thought diplomacy was weakness. They thought patience was surrender. They thought our kindness was fear. They were wrong on all counts. Humanity had spent 2 centuries learning to be better than our worst instincts. The Council made us remember those instincts. But they also learned something important. When you push humans into a corner, we do not just fight back. We fight to change the system that put us there. We fight to make sure it never happens again. Not to us, not to anyone. The galaxy would never make that mistake again.